What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Ask Scott and Sean, episode 5. I'm Scott, this is Sean Seberg. We're here to answer your questions. If you have a question, please feel free to send us your question to questions@scotthermanfitness.com. And yes, I said that all without stumbling. There's a lot of questions in one sentence.
I don't even think you breathed.
As always, guys, if you just want to go into the info section below the video, there are timestamps there so you can see which questions we're answering. So if you just want to jump to a question, go for it. But if you don't want to, well, stick with us and we're going to start right now.
All right, first question. Does using a Smith machine to do the flat bench press make your body do less work since a cable pulley system is involved?
And that is from Ben Szweda.
Ben
Szweda.
I think that's Swedish.
Says Szweda. So we're not making fun of you, Ben. You have a cool last name. Mine's Herman. It's easy to say. Well, there's a Smith machine. Well, I mean, a Smith machine in my mind has always been like, it was always a beginner thing for someone who wants to learn the bench. Some people, they're afraid to go bench press. And the Smith machine gives them the comfortability to go underneath the bar. They don't feel like it's going to come crashing on them because it has the stoppers on the side. Anyone can go over to a Smith machine with no weight on it and realize that the 45-pound bar is now about 2 pounds and you can just push it with your finger up and down. So if you're putting a 45 on each side, it's not 135, it's 90 pounds. So you got to make sure you keep that in mind. But your body is doing less work in the sense that you can't tip the bar, so you're not using as many stabilizers. But on the opposite end, maybe you can put more weight on the Smith machine, so you're kind of doing a little more work, but in a different way.
You're still engaging through the core. Anytime you're pressing through that motion, you still do have to engage through the core. You're still stabilizing through the core, but as far as the stabilizers in your shoulders and your elbows and your wrists,
it's all pretty much lined up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be. You shouldn't be using as much of the upper back or the upper part of the spine to really stabilize, but you're still using the core. So essentially,
well, my biggest problem with
you may do a little less work.
My biggest problem with the Smith machine is what I notice. I notice members, they're not putting the bench in the right spot, and they're jacking up their shoulders because they're benching like this instead of benching like this. Some Smith machines are on an angle, some Smith machines are straight this way, so it really depends on the Smith machine whether or not I think it's good to use for benching. How do you feel about that?
When I work out personally, I use the Smith machine for like an incline press, and I just come down to break that 90. I don't really, so every once in a while I come a little bit lower just to get a little stretch. I try not to wrench out my rotator cuff.
Yeah, Smith's actually really good for incline.
Yeah, it's good. I like using it for incline. One thing that's really important that you keep in mind is you're not going through the natural arc of the motion, so you're restricted to that motion. So you have to keep your alignment straight the whole time, because normally as you start to arc, you do one of these. You kind of sway just a little bit, but when you're doing a Smith, it's just a straight on. It's a straight press. So
I mean, you guys can definitely, if you want to switch up your workouts in 1 week, throw the Smith machine in for your bench or your incline. That's totally fine. Like I said, it has like any exercise, like whether doing dumbbells or the flat bench with the bar. Like there's pros and cons to both. So yeah, I mean, definitely give it a shot. Just make sure you do it properly. If you've never used the Smith machine before, ask somebody near you to help you set it up.
So I think his answer would be use maybe a little bit less.
A little less work, but maybe more weight.
Second question.
I'll read this one. Hoon Chang. Scott, your workouts have drop/burn sets. What are the benefits of the drop burn sets? Is incorporating these sets more effective for muscle gain?
What I think, I'll start this one off. What I think the purpose of, and what I know the purpose of a drop set is, I call them drip sets personally. I mix a drop set with a rip set. I like calling them drip sets. But the purpose is to shove more blood into your muscle. If you lift, if you say you do a set, right? And you get a good set, and you're like, oh, I'm feeling that. Say you wait like 2-3 minutes. What happens? You're not quite as pumped as you were before. Mm-hmm. Now, if you cut your time down you're going to keep that pump. Not only are you going to keep the same pump you have, but you're going to shove more blood in there, more blood in there, more blood in there. And really, that's what gives you that pump. That's a really important thing. Also, what a drip set does is it helps stimulate dormant muscle fiber or satellite muscle fiber. So muscle fiber that may not be active, it will start to really aggravate it. And another thing I do personally when I'm lifting is I'll actually literally do this to my muscles when I'm working them out just to aggravate them, just to get them, it's a little fly, just to get them stimulated, because the more you do that, the more likely you are to aggravate and stimulate more of those satellite muscle fibers. And little things like that, they seem stupid, but they work. I know they work. I can feel my pump increasing to the point.
I mean, you guys. I mean, the chest video that I have is, is the highest video on the YouTube channel, and you guys can see physically the difference in my body after doing the first set. I go from here to here with my chest. The whole reason why I started doing the burn sets was because, honestly, guys, I wouldn't feel the pump until I got to like my second set of my incline press. So I already done 3 sets of my flat bench. I'd be on my second set of incline, and finally I would feel that pump. So I started doing the burn set on my first set for the chest press, and boom, it had the pump at first set every single time. So, and basically it has all those good things happen that Sean just talked about, activating the satellite muscle fibers and all that fun stuff. So that's why we do it. I mean, you can switch it up. You don't have to do it every single time. If you want to not do a drop set or workout, that's fine. You don't always have to do it, but it sends a nice shock to the muscle system.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's fun. Like getting the pump, I think, is like
It's what you
look forward to.
That's when you get up out and you're like, yeah. You start flexing and everyone's looking at you and you're like, I don't care.
It sucks when it takes like 5, 10, 15 minutes to get to the pump. I want to get to it quick.
You guys, that's why you go to the gym, guys, because you like that feel-good feeling, and that's when the blood's pumping, and it's if the blood's pumping, you're more nutrients, more oxygen's traveling to the muscles. It's gonna help you.
Damn straight. Third question, AFGkilla. That must be like an Xbox 360 name or something. Asks, muscle growth. I started working out about a year ago. Since the day I began working out, my muscles really felt tired and ached, usually for the next day or two. And this was good because I knew that I was doing the right workouts and it was working efficiently. I have also seen very impressive changes in my body, and I have a good meal plan. However, for the past couple of weeks, my muscles do not ache or feel tired the day after working out. In fact, now my workouts are twice as intense. I have increased the weight significantly and changed my routines. Is this normal or is something wrong?
I would say that in my career, I have had this happen to me a couple times where I just wasn't feeling it. My question would be to you, when was the last time, say, you took a week off from the gym? And I don't mean a week off from training, you can still do like lighter workouts, but really let your muscles fully heal and just, heal up and get ready so that you can hit them even harder the week after. Like, for example, I travel a lot now due to the job and things that I do. I was just in Chicago for the last week, and I just got back to the gym today. My workouts were mediocre for the last week, but I'm already starting to feel sore from the work I did today because I let my muscles totally heal and totally relax for a week. I would say maybe try taking some time off from the gym so you can go back and hit it harder.
Yeah, I'd say that could work. I definitely recommend trying new exercises, changing up your routine.
Definitely changing up the routine. Well, he says he changes it up, but I mean, I guess it's a hard question to totally answer because when you say changing your routine, we don't know exactly what you're changing. I mean, you could have the same routine and then mix match the same exercises.
Yeah,
and
you can switch those.
You know what I mean? That's changing your routine up too. Or you can combine different muscle parts, or are you doing a circuit training exercises? Maybe you can do supersets instead of doing one set. And there's all different ways you can change your routine up. I guess either take time off or just really find a way to really change up your routine to shock the body, or just go to a totally different routine.
I think one thing that's important for people to know is that you don't need to use external weight all the time in order to get results. And what I mean by that is that you don't need to use dumbbells, plates, machines all the time. You can get sore from using your body weight, from just doing high reps or doing timed routines.
Yeah, to the pyramid push-up routine.
Yeah.
Oh, I was done after doing that. It was awesome.
Because people have the misconception that I need to use big weights all the time. I want to grow.
I have to use big weights all the time.
You can still grow using body weight.
I'm just kidding.
He's exceptional, all right.
No, Sean's definitely right.
But yeah, I mean, you can do. I
get bands. You can do band workout.
Well, people do like I have these frog squats that I have people do, and I can have people that do heavy squats all the time. I've had them squat a million different ways, but when I have them do these frog squats, sometimes I don't even have to do them. Have them do them that much. I just have them do them, and just because it's a tough workout, they'll be sore for like 3 or 4 days after.
Well, even the BMD episode 3 where I was doing all that football stuff, guys, you know, I squat 255 for 3 sets of 20, and my legs were just dropping out from beneath me doing the beat me down workout, which I faked 100% to make Sean look good, but still, you know, it really got to me.
Question number 4, Nicky
Vejbaek.
I think it's Vejbaek, but it could be Vejbaek. Been following your vids for about a year now, working out also for about a year. You guys talk a lot about different morphs. What does this mean, and how do I know what kind of morph I am? I can eat just about anything and never gain weight. Well,
this is a good question for Sean.
I love talking about morphs.
He loves talking about morphs.
And if you know me, you'll hear me talking about a morph at least once a day, especially at this point in my life.
I'm a Herman morph.
I'm a seabird morph. But there's 3 basic types of morphs, body type classifications, and what those are is an ectomorph, a mesomorph, and an endomorph. Alright? What an ectomorph is, what Scott is by nature, is someone who is a skinny little girl. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, what it is someone who has a smaller joint structure. They have a hard time putting on...
Small.
It's small enough. So they have a smaller joint structure. They tend to be leaner, thinner, even sometimes taller. They have a hard time gaining weight, gaining muscle and fat. So Scott's actually kind of broke his barrier with the gaining the muscle, because I think he has a little bit of meso in you. I think there's sub-classifications to each one of these. But also the funny thing is they tend to have bigger craniums and bigger brains. It's a weird stereotype with that classification. Whereas someone who's a mesomorph, I think I'm more in the mesomorphic category because I can gain weight or lose weight kind of at will, just barely changing my diet, and I react really well to exercise when I exercise hard. It's someone who has a naturally athletic build, and you probably know some. I'm not truly I've seen some really freaky people out there who barely need to work out, and they look jacked, just normal, just average. So the naturally athletic, they tend to have a square jaw. I don't have Scott has more of a square jaw than me. That's why I think he has that mesomorph in him. But a medium joint structure, just like that. Endomorph tend to be people who are bigger boned, have a bigger joint structure, put on muscle easy. They actually tend to be a little bit stockier too for the most part, but endomorphs come in all shapes and sizes, just like the rest of them. So they tend to put on muscle easy, but the downfalls, they tend to put on fat really easily too. So most power lifters have endomorphic frames, and it's like a great thing. I'm jealous of endomorphs because they're so damn strong, but at the same time it's an Achilles heel because they have a tough time burning fat.
Didn't you tell me that there's a way to kind of change your morph? Is that true?
There's no way.
You're looking into that.
There's no way to change your morph. But if you look at bodybuilding, you'll find bodybuilders who are ectomorphs, who are mesomorphs, and endomorphs. So I mean, I'm talking about really freaky bodybuilders who are just jacked and shredded. It doesn't matter what you are, because you can change your body structure. Well, you can change your muscles per se. You can change your diet. You can burn fat. You can always gain muscle. Those are things you can change. You can't change the shapes of your muscle. You can't change your joint structure or how big your joints are.
And everything that Sean said, I agree with.
Awesome.
That was a good question. That's a question we're getting a lot on the community page, so I'm glad that someone asked it.
Next question.
James Woodhouse. My question is, I'm 6'1", currently 205 pounds. Can I be 220 pounds of lean mass and still be agile enough to compete at a high level of sport such as football, parentheses soccer, maybe this person's from the UK. Is that true? Is it true that gaining muscle causes you to lose speed, acceleration, and agility, etc.? I mean, it's a yes and no question, guys, because, okay, say you're 205, 6'1", and you're very active, and you're stretching, and, you know, you're working on your flexibility, and then you just say, you know what, I'm going to go balls to the wall, I'm going to eat a lot of food, I'm going to train really hard, but I'm going to maybe not do those exercises that are helping my agility, I'm not going to stretch as much. Yeah, I mean, you can get tight and not be as agile and not be as fast, but I mean, you know, Sean and I talked about this before we even discussed the question. Like look at the athletes who play like American football, like actual football players. You know, the running backs. The running backs are what, 220 and more, and they're like doing spin moves and running up the field and I couldn't catch them. I'm 170.
I think if you take, like, especially as good as 6'1", you know, if you take some wide receivers from college and then you put them in the NFL, you'll see a lot of receivers develop. Some don't change at all. Some will say, you know, 190, 200 pounds, whatever. But some of them develop from, you know, 205. Even quarterbacks, 205 to 220, and they're as agile as ever. They're faster than ever. I think it really depends on how you train.
Yeah.
Obviously, genetics is always a factor, but you can go far even with bad genetics. There's been plenty of professional athletes who work their asses off to get where they are.
I think it all boils down to, okay, say we'll use the running back as an example. You know, say you're a running back, you play football, and you're always training to be a running back, and then you decide to eat more food, train a little harder, try and get a little bigger, but you know, you're still in football practice, you're still doing your drills at home, and you're still doing all those things. Like, your body is gonna grow a little bit, it's gonna grow naturally, you probably gain like maybe 2 pounds a week of muscle tissue, but it's growing at a natural organic pace. So, and you're still doing all the drills you would normally do, so I would assume that you would get faster and more agile because now your body's even stronger.
Yeah. I think the best example.
But if all of a sudden you blow up to like 290, you know, yeah, you might have a problem. But that wouldn't happen if you're still doing all your normal drills.
I think when Tom Brady came out of college, he was like 210 to 215, and I'm pretty sure he rolls around like 225 to like 235 now. And I mean, I know at least in those first few years when he started to gain that weight, he was better. You know, he's faster, he's stronger. It wasn't as easy to take him down as when he first came in the league.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put on some size.
Even like when I used to do my kickboxing and all that stuff, I was told at the gym not to get any bigger because my punches wouldn't be as fast. Dude, there's guys who are way bigger than me that punch way faster than I do and kick way faster than I do. Yeah. So it depends on your conditioning, guys.
Also, his height, he's 6'1", so I wouldn't be afraid to go up to 220 at 6'1". Maybe if you were 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", and you're worried about your speed, I would say maybe not. But since you're 6'1", I'd say go for it. Try the 220 because you can always take off. You can always burn that fat or muscle or whatever you put on. You can always burn that off once you put it on, anyways. Thing I would be careful of is when you do get heavier, especially if you gain a lot of muscle in your chest and your back, it might compress on your lungs and your cardiorespiratory system a little bit more.
Good point.
Yeah, so that might be the factor that hinders you from being able to sprint as fast or for at least as long.
So go live in the Mayan mountains for a while so your lungs get bigger.
What are the Mayan mountains?
I don't know, there's like running in the Mayan mountains and the people who live there have huge lungs and they can breathe in thin air from being so high up. Oh. Or don't do it, I'm just saying. But guys, you know what, that's our 5 questions for today. I really appreciate you writing in. If you want to ask us a question, please go to questions@scotthermanfitness.com. Like I said, you know, we're trying to do this, you know, every other week to make sure we have enough time to collect the questions, go through them. And, you know, also we pay attention to the community page to make sure we try and answer questions that are mostly asked on there. So, thanks for tuning in. I'm Scott. This dude's Sean.
Boom.
And as always, oh, actually, you know what? Boom is right. Make sure you guys check out Sean's Facebook page, Boom Athletics. Is it just Boom Athletics?
Yeah, Boom Athletics.
Boom Athletics. And, you know, there's also links to Sean's stuff on scotthermanfitness.com. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave comments in the comment section. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.